Uh, yeah. So, guys, this is going to wrap up this whole month of AI discussions and technology and conversations that we've been having, right? I think a lot of us use it. Some of us are a little concerned about it, but I think we've definitely figured out some ways that we can grasp it and use it and utilize it for what we're doing and stuff. And so, as we continue to post this week, I would appreciate it. Like if you've been on the last 3 or 4 weeks, share with us, what you've been learning, some of the takeaways that you've had from the technology and adaptation month that we've had. And so we'll jump into announcements and ask. I know, I have at least one announcement. Brandy.
Sorry, I was having a hard time. Every time I'm on my phone, I can never unmute myself. Hi, it's Brady Gibson here. I said to Rodney yesterday, I had some exciting news that I just accepted an offer with the Christ Hospital Network as an HR business partner, and I start next Monday. So this is going to be, at least for hopefully temporary, my last meeting for a little bit. So,
Awesome, awesome.
and
And I did make sure I pressed her yesterday. I'm like, what's your strategy to continue networking, right? Now that you've landed. And she had a great answer for it yesterday. And so I'm sure that this won't be the last time that we see her. And we really appreciate you joining us and appreciate your insight to one of the AI topics, right, with applicant tracking system that you gave us earlier on in the month. And so, guys, let's get rolling because we've got a lot to walk through, right? I titled this the digital escape room, right? Some of the reason was because some of us fear using AI, but also I know we have beliefs inside of ourselves, right, that maybe are not letting us get to the level of expectation or the life that we're supposed to be living today and stuff. And so I thought it would be kind of cool, like instead of truly escaping a room like we see out in town when you go to the escape rooms and stuff, but that we use the tools that we've learned and the conversations that we can have with AI to hopefully help us understand what has us boxed into our lives, right? And how we can escape that box and expand into the lives that we're meant to live, right? And so I love the statement, right, by Henry Ford, right? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're absolutely right. Okay, and so part of what we're going to do today is we're going to take some of this master prompting that we've learned. And so, like I said, if you haven't completed it, don't sweat it too much, right? It's the last section. You can always come back to it and finish off the master prompt, and then come back and do the last comparison. But it is about taking our values and our beliefs and our goals and all of those things that come into the master prompt, identifying our limiting beliefs, and then figuring out how do we get these things to align and flip the script so that we're feeding positivity in our lives, right, and accomplishing the goals that we want. 77% of the people out there report that they have self-doubt, right? Raise your hand, right? If at some point during the day or month or year that you go, I don't know, right? I think all of us have that sometimes in our life, right? It takes 21 days on average, right, to begin disrupting, right, to build that habit, to bring that new belief into reality, and so that it gives us the actions or results and outputs that we want, right? And then those of us that do this, right, are 3 times more likely to achieve the goals that we want. Okay, and so AI isn't the place that's gonna do this for you. It's just gonna give you some insight as to what might be holding you back, right? As we went through last week, right, we understood. I think all of us started looking at the framework that Ray was laying down for us in this profile, right, in our background, to say this is how we want AI to think for us. This is how we want AI to think of us. This is how we want it to speak for us and things like that, right? These are the goals that we're wanting to achieve and stuff. That was laying the foundation, right, for all of that. But that doesn't mean that you're still that's gonna help you in the belief that you need. And so I thought it'd be kind of cool to walk through an exercise that would help us identify the root, right, of what those limiting beliefs might be flip that script, right? Using our profiles, and really figure out ways to create affirmations around how we can change this, right? And so there's 5 prompts that we're going to go through today. I don't want you to start typing these in, right? It's important how we do this, the sequence in how we do this, right? And so we're going to walk through identifying it, exploring the origins, right? Challenging the truth behind what we're telling ourselves, rewriting that, right? And then locking it in with those affirmations that we're going to talk about. And so first exercise, right? If you've got your chat GPT or, like I said, Gemini, Copilot, it doesn't even matter, Claude, whatever you're using, it doesn't matter, okay? What matters is you are feeding all 5 of these into the same conversation or same chat, right? Don't start a new chat for everyone. And so I want everybody to open up a new chat. And I only want you to put in the very first script. And I'm gonna stop sharing right now because I don't want people to be focused on, I gotta challenge these, because I'm gonna make this as easy as possible for you guys. Oh my gosh, what is going on, Rodney? There we go. I'm trying to get out of that and get into the mode where I can actually copy and paste these into the chat to make it as easy as possible for all of us to get this correctly, right? And so I'm going to paste into the chat the very first prompt that I want you to put into your chat GPT or whatever you're using, right? And so the first one is, ask me one question at a time until you believe you've identified the belief that's limiting me the most. Challenge your own conclusion before presenting it on, and then explaining your reasoning. Before you hit enter and ask it to respond to you, okay? I want you to write what you believe that limiting belief to be on a piece of paper. Right, and so you've maybe had to answer some additional questions and keep rolling on it. And if you need more time, right? I mean, you can always come back to this. You've got the prompt, right? You can always continue to refine. But in the same chat, I don't want you to disrupt the conversation. In the very same chat, the next thing I need you to prompt, right, is ignore my explanations. Analyze only my repeated choices and priorities and contradictions. And this is important because AI is good at recognizing patterns, right? And as we get those patterns out there, right, we can truly understand what patterns are we repeating to ourselves, right, that are maybe holding us back. And so, again, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to kind of work through this. Ignore my explanations. Analyze only my repeated choices, priorities, and contradictions. Tell me what patterns emerge, how confident you are, and what evidence could disprove your interpretation. And sometimes you might have to ask some additional questions, like explain why you think this disproves the interpretation. If you're not a big interactor of AI, don't be afraid to ask, what evidence do you have? Right? How did you get this evidence? You may be interacting with AI a lot more than what you think, which might be scary for some. So now we've identified it, right? And we can start to trace it back to maybe where all of this came from, right? Where all of these beliefs came from. We're going to go to a breakout real quick. I'm going to share, I'll share my screen again here. So you can always feel free to screenshot what you need to as we go to breakouts. And feel free to continue working on it and stuff if you want, right? We're going to go to breakout, okay? We're going to come back to this prompt and add in 3, 4, and 5, right? But before we do that, I want to go to breakout, right? And share a limiting belief that you've carried, right? Where do you think it came from? Have you ever tried to name it before and identify it, right? There is no wrong answers here. I would encourage everyone, while you're in your breakout rooms, obviously listen to each other. You might be able to help each other to understand what we can say to ourselves that might counter those things, right? And so I didn't mean to stop sharing. I meant to go to breakout room. So, breakout rooms, we're going to go three
Right as
parts.
I was taking a picture, Rodney.
Uh, I brought
I
it back
said,
up, right?
you did, you did.
Yeah, I brought it back up. So, we're going to go to breakout room, guys. Uh, awesome. So hopefully you guys have started to establish like there are some things in my life that is probably sticking in my mind that may or may not be true, right? For the most part. And so I'm curious, like, is anybody willing to share some of the lessons or some of the insights that they might have gained from the first two prompts so far? I'll kick it off, but then I might just have to toss the baton somewhere in hopes that somebody's going to share. You know, I said it's not so much the limiting belief that I had, but it was where they were coming from, right? I've had instances occur in the business, right, in my business, that just threw me off and got me to the point where that like that's what I stick to is thinking about the people that have quit on me or the opportunities I've lost or even the missed opportunities to help a family, right, and stuff. And that just sticks with me for whatever reason. And so by far it becomes one of my most prominent limiting beliefs that are out there, right? Uh, Anybody else? Yes, Karen, go ahead.
Um, so it's not, it's the secondary belief. So the first thing that always I stumble over is, I wouldn't get nominated for the Supreme Court. Um, and so they, trying to just value what I bring that is different and the experience as a business person and signing contracts, not just reading them and saying good luck. So it started to help me with reframing and I know I just need to work on a marketing tool. So
Yeah. Anybody else? Go ahead, Daniel. Yep.
No, I finally got it down to identifying what the core limiting belief that's holding me back. Um, and here's what has said: the legitimacy and capability are defined by an external traditional mold, and because my journey doesn't fit that mold, I'm inherently an imposter who must prove I belong before I can even step into the higher level success.
right, right.
And I feel like this whole exercise is forcing me to reveal my soft underbelly, and just like, okay, I'm like, okay, it's making me feel emotional, to be honest.
And to me, so when we talk about escape room, right? When we talk about in a physical escape room, right? You're trying to find the door that's going to open. That's all I'm hoping that some of you are going to like open the door today a little bit, right? And be able to escape what has been holding you into there, right? Has had you locked into whatever doubt or fear or anything that has been residing over you, right? Anybody else before we move on? Yeah, go ahead, Carla.
One thing I brought up with our group is I think it's great that people are utilizing these tools this way. As a life coach, part of the reason I became a life coach is because I want people to unlock this stuff about themselves. Unfortunately, these AI tools are so great and so adaptive that they're putting me out of a job.
I disagree, right? And as a financial advisor, I think Tim and I we think about this. Ray probably even has this too, right? Anybody can go to these tools and go, well, I can find ways to invest or whatever else. It's still not you, Carla.
You're right,
Right.
but people, but and then we have this conversation we have workshops and conversations at
Yeah.
our AI, at our coaching conferences all the time on AI, and what people will tell, what the feedback we get from clients or past clients is, well, I can do it with AI cheaper than you. And how do we combat that? And that is conversations we continue to have over and over. And it's not the personal touch, it's not what we personally can provide, but that is the thing that I have to combat over and over and over with the AI.
Tim, what's our phrase? What's our phrase about cost and value?
It's never about cost, it's about value.
Yeah, cost is only a matter in the absence of value.
But
Price is what you pay. Value is what you get.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Carla, value is what you bring, right? Value is what
Absolutely.
Barbara brings. Value. I could always go get some legal advice online, but I'd rather talk to Karin about it. Right?
Rodney, I will defend Carla. She's absolutely right, though. When it comes to when people are short of funds or when people are short of time or don't have the inclination, they don't have the connectivity with somebody, they don't realize that the value is there. And oftentimes, just like when Mishka was talking about applying for jobs, if you don't get that front and center opportunity, you can never give the value. So, I mean, AI has taken a chunk out of that coaching stuff that people just think, I can do this. And then until it blows up in their face or it takes too long, they're not going to come back to say, maybe I need something else. So it's just another challenge of having to put value out in front of people in a way that it's not necessarily person to person anymore. You have to find a way to get their attention.
But the flip side of that is what really honks me off is when I go to a website to find a phone number and make a phone call, and the first thing the phone tree says is, you can get a lot done on our website. The reason that I called was to speak to a person because I don't want to try to navigate your website because it's a mess.
Right.
So,
Right.
A lesson from the accounting space, because obviously we have been dealing with the challenges of AI, is what a lot of accountants are finding is that we have to reframe that question. It's not how can I compete against AI with the service? It is how can I use AI to complement what I'm already providing to people.
Yeah.
And it is in our space, and I think in the coaching space and in so many other industries that we all are in, we're starting to see now where people who are able to leverage that and able to ask that question and find an answer that works for them, those are the ones that are going to continue to be successful.
I will
And
say
it's really using it collaboratively.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris, I thought you were finished. I would say as far as with
We can keep this. Hold on. We can keep this conversation going. I'm putting prompt 3 into the chat right now. Okay.
okay.
Go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
All I was going to say is, as far as Corinne and Carla, yes, AI can look up legal advice. It can scour the internet for coaching advice. The difference is you two have ethics and heart. I mean, I kind of think of, and maybe I'm wrong, but the coaching almost like a counselor. Where you do have to listen to people's problems with compassion.
Mhm.
So, and AI cannot do that.
Nightmare.
There's also, Brian, there's also the predilection, and because of programming, for the AI tools to confirm what you share.
Mhm.
And the really great value of a coach is to say, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
And AI
Well-
is going to take a long time to get there. You're going to have to offer it up to them. You can ask challenges, but still, yeah.
And in your case, for example, okay, let's say I'm trying to do something in Cincinnati, and let's say you are in Pittsburgh, for example. It doesn't necessarily know state and local. Well,
Yes, it does. Yes,
It
it does.
does.
No, it does. It does.
does it know
No.
where you are though?
Yeah. But the value, oh yeah, absolutely. There are apps
Okay.
there are apps
Okay.
out there that pull, and I've used them to get the law regarding warehouses in Mexico. But
Okay.
no, the real value is in walking someone through their legal situation
That's true.
and understanding the client's temperature for risk. And an employee trying to use AI to make decisions and legal decisions when those may not be in parallel to their company's values. They're just
Okay.
So no issue that there's human intervention is helpful, but making AI a partner is probably good. I'm wondering if Carla could ask people to bring their AI chats into the conversations. So
Yeah. Listen, so prompt 3 was in there, guys. Based on everything that I say, describe me as a stranger would after observing my actions for 1 year. Separate observable behavior from my inference, right? Separate my observable behavior from my inference. So throw that in there. Have another quick conversation with AI. And I'm going to move on to the 4th one as well, because this is important. But this should all be in a continuous chat, right? Don't leave the chat that we were in before. Same discussion, just add the new prompts. The 4th one is probably the one that shined the most light on things for me, right? Imagine my life 5 years from now if I never change my current habits. Right? Describe the likely outcome, identify the assumptions behind those predictions, right? And tell me the smallest action, right? We've all heard the phrase, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? One bite at a time. Give me the smallest action, right, that could change my trajectory. We got somebody that did a close a while back. You might have heard this story too. Like a plane takes off from New York en route to Los Angeles, right? If they are off by 1 degree, right, when they land, they'll be 100 miles off course. Give me the one smallest action that I can take that's going to help change the trajectory that I'm on. And so that's the 4th one. The 5th one is also critical, right, to solidifying things, right? Often we will avoid those things that we fear the most, right? Eat the frog is real. Do the hardest things in the morning, right? As opposed to always picking the simple things out. And so ask me the one question I'm most likely to avoid answering. Explain why that question matters, what my answer suggests, and what alternative interpretations are possible, right? I think this is important because we should all be able to wake up in the morning and answer the question that's hardest to us so we can go, oh, that wasn't so bad, right? And move on. And so prompts 3, 4, and 5 are in there. We're going to head to breakout room 2 here in a second. But before we do that, I want to, the final prompt that you're going to put in after all of this is over, after you get your 5 prompts in there, you understand what your limiting beliefs are, how to flip it a little bit, right? Now it's a matter of taking that master prompt profile that Ray gave us, right? If you've got that all the way filled in, this is the prompt that I would add to the conversation. You bring the master prompt in, add it as a file or whatever that it can read your master prompt, right? And then you say, hey, based on my limiting beliefs and the value, goals, and principles of my AI operating profile or master prompt profile, however you want to call it, generate 3 affirmations that help me escape from my current reality and align with the energy level who I'm meant to be. And so hopefully this is going to give you some some affirmations, right, that tell you to tell yourself, right, or affirmations that you can tell yourself, right, of overcoming these beliefs. So breakout room number 2. I'll share my screen again real quick so we can see this. I know we're working through these prompts, but we're also running out of time. Breakout room number 2. So you might have to share your limiting belief again, right? And the biggest influence or action that you can possibly be taking, right? And then what affirmations do you feel like you can adopt in the coming weeks that can counter the beliefs that you have, right? That's all we're looking to do. Talk about the belief, talk about the action, and the affirmations. The more you say those affirmations, the more it's going to lead you to doing those actions on a natural basis, right? Without thinking about it on a day-to-day basis. And so I've got breakout rooms shuffled up, guys. We're going to go for about another 8 minutes. Hey, some additional great points brought up in this breakout, guys. And Carla started hitting on this when, hey, I'm a life coach and these are great tools and stuff, but now people think that they can use these tools. Listen, nothing is going to replace people. I think we hit on that the very first session, right, when we were talking about this. Like, nothing's going to replace people, right? And Craig shared, there are people relying on this to the point where, like, they listen to AI instinctively almost, right? That they're just like, hey, whatever AI says, it must be true. Although we've known people for years now, they whatever they look up on the internet also must be true, right? When we know that isn't the case, right? So we do have to be conscious of that, and obviously cautious of where this can lead. To the point where Craig said, hey, ask the same question 5 times and see the 5 different answers that you get. Right? And it's real. That's true. And so I'm curious, while we did this, did anybody find affirmations? Did anybody derive an affirmation that they felt, man, this could be useful to me? Karin, you want to share? You're muted. I'm sorry, you're muted. We automatically mute when we come back in.
I know. An unpolished framework in the market beats a perfect strategy on my hard drive every single day.
There you go. Anybody else got one they can share? AI. Oh yeah. You're absolutely right, Daniel. AI will never replace empathy. Does anybody else have a limiting belief or an affirmation that they can share? No? I'll share mine. All right. My purpose is bigger than my fear, and every conversation I lead creates clarity, confidence, and connection with others.
One of mine said, I do not need to become a different person to change my life.
I like that one too.
Mine says I don't have to prove my worth, I have to recognize it.
Oh,
I like that.
I just got the prompt for it to say, imagine what happens if I don't change anything 5 years from now. And it said, you will be a perfectly optimized harbor for a ship that never sails.
Oh, wow.
Ow.
That's a good one.
some of them hurt, right? I mean, maybe for a reason, right? We got to get that pain sometimes into us.
That's that lack of human compassion.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes the directness is what actually is the thing that I need. And sometimes when I've set up a prompt, I said, I need you to be direct with me, because otherwise they'll say, oh, but you're so great at this and you're so great at that. And I like that. Sometimes I need it to be direct with me. And I think this is something that I needed to hear.
Yeah, Ray had to jump off, but that's the whole purpose of that master profile, guys, right? If it can understand how you can, like, what communication styles you like and things like that, right? Instead of, like, I used to hate it when I get on there and everything was a great idea to AI. Oh, that's a great idea, Roddy. Oh, yeah, you're leading down the greatest path ever, right? And I'm like, stop chastising me, man. Like, I cannot stand that, right? Feel free to challenge me, right? And go, well, this is a good thought, but let's think about it in these other senses too, right? Because that's what we all need, and stuff. And not all the time can we gather in groups of 25 people or so and say, hey, I want to throw some ideas around the table, Marite, and see what we can think of, right? Julie, I want to understand, like, how does this play, right? How can we make this work for us all, right? And so we can have those conversations. Here's one last one. I'm gonna finish up here, guys. That I think belongs to everybody in here, right? I release every belief that was never mine to carry.
Mm,
I like that.
yeah.
Right?
Well, we need to write that down.
None of us need to worry about the things that really shouldn't be a burden to us anyway, right? And so we just need to release those things so we can go on and accomplish the things that we're here to do and live the life that we're meant to live. Hopefully you got something out of today's discussion with the 5 prompts and stuff. I'm going to jump back in here to Sharon real quick as we wrap up. Use them and revisit them every once in a while. I think Limiting Beliefs, one of the conversations we had, I said, I've taken DISC assessments and Myers-Briggs and several of them over the years. And it seems like depending upon what's going on in my life or what ventures I have going on or businesses I'm undertaking, or when I started back to school, like my assessments change, right? And if it's your duty to know you first, right? And we have to know ourselves first before we can start to lead others, right? We have to be able to lead ourselves before we can lead others. We owe it to ourselves to be able to take those assessments and understand what are the changes truly taking place in my life and my mindset and my beliefs and stuff like that during those times. And so I think you can use these 5 prompts to do the same thing. Like, do I have a new limiting belief, or is there something there? Master prompting. Ray iterated last week. Don't fill it out just once, right? You got to go back and revisit that every once in a while, because your writing style may change, your communication style may change, right? The goals that you have should change, right? Your 1-year goal shouldn't be your 1-year goal a year from now, right? And so on and so forth. And continue to revisit those things. And then hopefully all of you come back, in the next month or so, and you're continuing to be able to share maybe some of the breakthroughs you've had from the affirmations you started to do, right? I think we have to talk about these things, right? And we also have to understand that people will never be replaced, right? So many people that are in job search right now, they feel like, oh, AI has come from my job or whatever. And that's not the case. You have to figure out where that value that you bring lies, even though the cost of AI might be cheaper, right? They have to understand that having you with AI is more valuable than anything that is ever going to be paid, right? So listen, 11:03, guys. Go out there, have a great week. And remember, I love you guys, all right?